Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Just Casual Vlogs. It is Sam, aka Just Casual, here, and I'm going to be talking about my weaknesses and the things I am self-conscious about and worried. So this will be spicy, juicy. So, let's start with my podcasting stuff. So, the podcast is my side hustle. It is a thing that I'm trying to create a career out of. Again, it's that whole like 10, 25 year goal where I could be like doing podcasting for a living. But along the way, I definitely want to be finding ways to exercise that and also get paid to do it. Obviously, that's a strong goal. And I do get paid a little bit from Weldon, which is really appreciated. Who knows how big that'll grow. There is some pay with Lola with the Patreon, but I usually I mean I always reinvest it right back into Lola, where I'm usually funding Lola with some of Weldon's money that he pays me with. But with that goal, there are definitely times where I feel down, or I'm like, oh, can I actually do this? Because I do believe that talent is important. Hard work can beat talent, but hard work alone cannot beat someone that's talented and that's working hard too. So I wonder, like, oh, am I actually talented at this thing? Can I actually do this? Do I have the capacity? And yeah, there are a lot of times where I feel like, oh, I'm just not good enough. And to be honest, it's true a lot of the times, because I have not been doing this long. I've done a podcast for about 3 years. But the Lola podcast wasn't always super heavily focused on getting better and improving. It wasn't dealing with interview style as much because it was buddies talking. It wasn't always the most organized, and it wasn't always the most focused. It was a hobby thing. It wasn't like, hey, I'm trying to make it big and trying to do a podcast. It was like, let's do this for fun and see where it goes kind of thing. So out of the 3 years, how much of that time was actually really spent working on like how to speak better, how to tell a narrative, how to interview and ask the right questions, how to be a better host. With that, there is some inexperience. Now, I don't want this to be like a whole like beat myself up kind of thing, because man, I've done a lot, I have achieved a lot, and I'm really proud of myself. There's just a lot more to do. And when I compare with the best of the best, when I'm like looking at NPR or like Gimlet Media, some of these kind of, even like in the esports world, like looking at One Up Productions, like One Up Studios or One Up Productions, I can't remember what they're called, where they make like narratives, like video narratives and documentaries about like a whole split for a team, like these kind of things. I'm like, ooh, am I at that level? And to be honest, I'm not, because I haven't done it enough. I think I have some talent. I don't know how talented I am, but I know that I work really hard and I'm also smart, so I can figure these things out. And compared to the mass majority of people, like, it's funny because you can just Google everything and figure it out, yet people still can't Google it and figure it out. Like, seriously, people can't. It's crazy. And some things get a little harder to Google and figure out, and I am able to do that. But anyway, going back to my shortcomings, yeah, I think I'm not the best speaker. I think with a lot of prep, I can do public speaking very well. I'm not the best host, but I think with a lot of prep with the Lola podcast, I can host very well. I think my strengths in that is that I can feel what's going on. I can gauge things pretty well, I believe. And therefore, like, I know the right questions to ask and how to work with personalities and how to make people feel comfortable and make sure they're having a good time. But yeah, when it comes to my public speaking or speaking off the cuff, I have a lot of work to do when I'm comparing myself to the best of the best, right? And that's one of the reasons why I do these vlogs, to become a better public speaker. So with that, I also wonder, am I creative enough? I've always thought I've been a creative person, and as a kid I was very creative, but as I become an engineer and like work more focused on like formulas and concrete things and I haven't been as creative and been able to exercise that, and that's why I did the podcast. Like I want to be creative, I want to use those creative juices, and I have exercised that in college. I like in my orgs, I've done some stuff. With the podcast, I've got to flex those creative muscles with like the 1 year anniversary show, which was really, really fun. That was a whole what is it? We had like a game show thing where I used a whole bunch of different software very creatively because I didn't know or I didn't have the correct software to do the things I wanted to do. So I was really proud of myself there. And with the whole Weldon podcast, the first episode that was posted on YouTube, which got a lot more views because people are subscribed to Weldon on YouTube. I don't think we've done the best job in marketing it. However, you know, we will be working on that, and I'll be getting better and better at that. We've done a good job. What am I saying? We've done a very good job. That's something very new to me. I know that I have a lot more exposure to podcasts than other people. I digested a ton of podcasts in my life, and I get the feel for podcasts, and therefore the Weldon podcast has done well. Oh yeah, I forgot where I was going. First episode that I did, the first episode that was posted on YouTube, there was maybe like half the comments were positive and half the comments were negative. That kind of sucked. The negative comments were like were deep because they were about like, oh, the host isn't needed, we want Weldon. And I totally get that. Like, who am I, right? What am I bringing in? People are subscribed to Weldon. Weldon is not a super like personality where he's like going crazy and streaming games and like yelling and like laughing and dropping jokes. Like, he's a very knowledgeable guy that speaks very eloquently, very clearly, and is very smart. So it attracts a certain crowd and doesn't work with a certain crowd, right? So we talk about like what this podcast is for, and to be honest, those subscribers for his YouTube channel, they don't necessarily need all the fluff that I bring, but there's ways I can do that better. So seeing those comments at first was like, oh crap, like they're like, oh, who is this host? We don't need him. Just put more Weldon. I was like, oh, I'm sorry. Or like, oh, I think he's distracting, or oh, it's not funny. I'm like, that sucks, you know. And I thought about how I can be improving on that, and I'm really excited for like episode 4 and 5 that are coming out. 5 is in the works. 4 is the first one where I'm like actually changing up the format. It's kind of significant, but it probably won't feel significant. I think it'll sound better. And episode 5, I have one episode under my belt where I'm doing this new format, so that's going to be easier to do episode 5, which I'm maybe like 75% done with. And then by episode like 11, the show's going to be very revamped. I think we're going to take a break from the show and then work on some stuff ahead of time with Weldon, and it'll be more organic. That's what I'm excited about. So it'll be easier for me, and it'll be testing my interview skills, which I'm really, really excited about. So all these opportunities are really cool because I'm stretching myself out as a person, but I'm also exposing myself to a lot of things that I'm not good at, right? Or I shouldn't say not good at, I am inexperienced at. So I'm having a lot of these like, oh man, like, am I good enough to do this kind of moments? And that sucks. It absolutely sucks. It hurts the ego and the pride a little bit, but you know what? Like, this is very therapeutic doing this kind of vlog because I'm convincing myself as I talk about it. Like, hey, this is true. I'm validating myself because I am an external processor. That's why I like to talk. That's why I love podcasts. I like to talk to people. I like to talk about things, and I love podcasts where I get to talk with people and commune together. So I'm really excited for the Weldon podcast to kind of take that turn. That's tentative. And so yeah, my weaknesses in podcasting. I'm also worried that what else do I got for you guys? Oh, another thing with the Lola podcast, since I don't play it as much anymore, I've gotten worse at the game. I don't keep up with the updates as much. Like I always read patch notes like within 30 minutes while they're like released. And now I have not read more than half the patch notes. Probably. No, that's a lie. I eventually got to them, but I have not read patch notes before the patch has come out. I have not read patch notes like a week after the patch came out. And what that worries me is that I'm giving up a lot of control in the podcast because my co-hosts know a lot more than I do. Well, they always did, to be honest, but I brought a different flair and different knowledge and different understanding and different conversations to the podcast, but I really have to rely on them. I don't know as much about the podcast. I can rely on things that haven't changed in the podcast, like how to get better at the game, or like the topics that I do for the Weldon show, like these psychological things, or like how you should have your attitude, because I think no matter what, I can climb out of bronze with any champion. I really strongly do believe that. I thought I could get to gold with any champion, and I'm struggling this season a bit to climb out of silver, but yeah, that is a worry for me. And like, how can I bring quality content and teach people when I am struggling and I'm not keeping up with things? And that is changing what I talk about. I'm talking about with confidence things that don't require me to be super good at the game, things that are more knowledge based, like macro stuff that change a little bit, but in the big sense of things, it's like Nexus first, so how do you get to Nexus, like those kind of concepts I still know. However, I bring to the podcast the ability to like get those questions and get what the listeners need to hear out of my guests or out of the co-host. So yep, those are some of my weaknesses. Those are the things that I'm really worried about or self-conscious about. Want to air out the dirty laundry? What are your guys' weaknesses? Comment below about your weaknesses. What is holding you back? And you know, not just that. I want you to actually put some thought into it and get something positive out of it besides just saying like I'm super shy or I can't speak well. I want you to put down a weakness and say how you can overcome that weakness. And if you don't know, I reply to every single comment on the YouTube channel. So I will find you something and I will help you through it with whatever legitimacy you think I have. But that's what's going on with me. Please like, please comment. Please comment. It's fun interacting with like Maniko. I think that's how you say your name. He's the guy that's been commenting a lot. The name Gillians, I think. And then please subscribe so you can see more of this stuff if you enjoy it. We're almost at 25. High pipe. See you guys.